Welcome to the very first episode of the Beasts of the NFC East podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. Jeremy Goode, what's good?
Everything's good. Everything is good, Sean. Looking forward to this podcast.
So this Beasts of the NFC podcast, it's know your team, know your enemy. So we're going to
Yes.
focus on the NFC East. As you can tell, I am going to be representing the New York Football Giants, but we're not biased here. Maybe a little bit biased. But we're going to dig into every team in the NFC East. We're going to say good things. We're going to say bad things. We're going to be honest. It's going to be a little bit of fandom. There's going to be a little bit of, controversy, maybe some arguments. We got opinions flying around. But
The amount of research I've done on the Cowboys, the Commanders, and Giants over the last few weeks, I've never felt more connected to the NFC East as a whole, Sean.
I feel like I could say the same. And I'll tell you what I've realized from doing this research
Yeah.
is that there's the least amount of Commanders media.
Yes.
But I think that's going to change with the new ownership.
Well, we were talking last week. Apparently, like their open practices the last few years, they get nobody, and then they get Josh Harris and Magic Johnson. Then it's like sold out events this year. But we'll see. They're still bad.
Not
to
of Dan Snyder,
Yeah.
probably fix the poops and the pipes falling on the fans. So
not to give any spoilers, but the Commanders are still bad and they'll be awful this year. But still a lot of good players, which is interesting. But I don't think they're going to be too good.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of good key pieces, and I think just like always, they'll be right around that 500 range on the cusp of the playoffs. Hopefully, the Giants are a little above, like we were last year, but we'll see. So let's start off with the Eagles here. Today we're going to focus on the key pieces, additions, and subtractions of every team in the NFC East, and how they're going to impact the league this year, how they're going to help their teams improve. Jeremy, you want to start it off?
I'll start it off. The Eagles, obviously, they went to the Super Bowl last year. They lost, unfortunately. And when you go to the Super Bowl, win or lose, not great. Win or lose, you're going to lose a lot of players because a lot of guys just, they sort of up their price point if you make it to the Super Bowl. All eyes are on them. Good teams want to strip the mid kind of players who are up for contracts like TJ Edwards, players like that. So they did lose some players. Unlike in 2018 when the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, won and lost players, they were pretty good at replacing them this offseason with a lot of draft capital and just Howie Roseman being able to finesse, the salary cap, keep some players on board too that were already here. So I'll get into it. Yes.
Yeah. The one thing I thought you guys were going to lose either Darius Slay or James Bradbury.
That's pretty wild how they kept both and how there were price cuts. Yeah, it's pretty wild. They lose TJ Edwards, who I've been shaky about. I think he's a good player. He was undrafted, I think, 4 years ago. He's done a really good job as a middle linebacker. Not as much as a playmaker. Not great in coverage. He's actually pretty lost in coverage. Great against the run. Good kind of leader, too. And he's youthful. So I think he's 25. So 25, 26. Yeah. So he went on to the Bears. The Eagles didn't want to pay him. The Eagles don't pay linebackers. The Eagles don't put any money into the linebacker position, basically. It's a bit of a loss. I think they'll be okay without him, but he was a fun player. So they lose him. They lose the biggest piece they lost was Javon Hargrave. Defensive tackle went to the 49ers for, I think, $80 million. Very good defensive team.
You guys had nobody to replace him, right?
Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
It is.
You lose him. Javon Hargrave was great at getting to the quarterback, blitzing the quarterback as defensive tackle. As a run stopper, pretty awful. Not awful, but he wasn't that good. So peaks, there's some issues there. They're able to replace him with Jalen Carter with the 9th pick. I don't know how he dropped from Georgia, the defensive tackle. He's quite special. I'm a big fan of his. His first play in preseason, He got to the quarterback within the second and made, I think, Josh Johnson throw away the ball on third down to force a punt. It's kind of an embarrassing of riches. I don't say that even to brag. It's just amazing how you lose Hargrave and you get someone who probably is going to be better than Hargrave within a year and only going
He's
higher.
the
So
number one prospect in the draft. That
he's yeah, for talent wise, it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, on the field, off the field, if maybe a little less need for speed, maybe a little
Yeah,
bit
well,
more.
we'll no doubt.
Get,
He's
get to
got
the
some
quarterback.
he's got some fast roads too with 95 and 76 in Philadelphia, but
Yeah.
they'll work on that. Let me see who else. Who else did this team lose? Feels like not money. Those are obviously the two big ones in my opinion. They also lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Yep, to the Lions.
Yes, who I'll be honest, I would have re-signed. I thought they gave him a good deal, 3 years, 24 million. His agent wanted more. Nobody was giving him anywhere close to that. I feel bad for him in a way because his agent kind of screwed him.
It's
He
a
made
tough safety market.
It is a tough safety market. I'll be honest, he made a lot of plays in Philadelphia in the first half, got hurt, didn't make as many plays afterwards, but he still, I thought, held his ground really well as a safety position, even when he wasn't making plays. That'll be a loss. I think those are the big three losses that this team had. They also lost Miles Sanders, of course. I think he's kind of replaceable with a lot of different options, especially with that position.
Yeah.
Nothing against him. Last year he played really well until the Super Bowl. Kind of dipped off towards the end of the year too, but I thought he was pretty solid as a whole. They lose him. I think it's going to be okay. They also lost Isaac Seumalo, their guard.
Yeah.
There's
So who's filling in for Isaac?
it's going to look like Cam Jurgens will, who was
Right.
drafted last year as the backup, as the center to replace Jason Kelsey. Kelsey doesn't want to retire, which is great, but
Yeah, it is pretty good.
you got to put Jurgens somewhere. I think guard. He looks good at guard. He beefed up a little bit. I think he'll be good there if he's able to move to center. He'll be fine there. But for now, he'll be good at guard. So um, that's looking good. And then additions. Should we jump into those?
Yeah, let's get into him.
All right, additions. I mentioned Jalen Carter. Very excited.
Yeah.
30th pick, first round, Nolan Smith, who I honestly wanted. I would have drafted at 10 too.
Oh
Defensive
yeah.
end, Georgia. Didn't have many sacks at Georgia, but he gets there quickly. And the thing about college football, the NFL, you got to get guys who get to the quarterback, regardless if they finish the sack. If they're not finishing it, someone else will. You have guys like Josh Sweat on this team on this defense. Hassan Reddick too on the other side.
And I was going to say Hassan Reddick. He's been getting a lot of comps to Hassan Reddick for that same speed.
Yes, and size too. Both a little undersized, but I think the NFL is realizing speed kills. Size, if you have good size on the bend, defensive end, that's great. But if not, they're also a little quicker. So maybe they get to the quarterback a little quicker. So I like that addition. They also got a guy, I'm sure you've heard about him, Cindy Brown, safety out of Illinois.
Yeah.
I've heard comps to Brian Dawkins. It's a little rich, but
what was that? Your third round?
that was our third round pick. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Brian Dawkins in the third round, man. I can't believe we didn't take him.
I know. Well, there you go. Yeah, you got to start speaking into existence. Hard hitter, guy loves to play football. He's exciting. He'll run around a lot. We'll see what could happen. I think he could start eventually this year too. Tyler Steen, a few picks later, third round, offensive guard, played tackle at Alabama, was very good in the SEC, a little small, I think, for the NFL. It's nice, though, that he could probably be a tweener in the NFL. I think he's going to be more of a guard, but I think he'll be solid there.
And obviously just another depth piece. Going back to Sidney Brown. Now,
Yes.
Sidney Brown, is he rotating right now? Is he taking a starting spot?
He started with the third team, and he's been playing a lot of first team the last week to 10 days. So he's jumped pretty quickly. I don't know if they want to put a rookie safety there to start off, especially because the other person who's going to start next to him, Reed Blankenship, is an undrafted free agent from last year's draft. So it would be pretty youthful, but we'll see. They added, Terrell Edmonds from the Steelers, veteran safety. Doesn't really make many plays, but he's solid as a safety, back there roaming. So I think he might start off the year there. Maybe Cindy Brown takes it, mid-season. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I mean, I don't like it.
Right.
I like it if I was
You
an
like?
Eagles fan.
I'm excited.
Replenishing the depth, like Howie Roseman has done an awesome job
Yeah.
of replenishing the depth. I thought CJ I would have kept, but
hmm
honestly, if I had to go between CJ or one of the two corners, I would have rather have kept Darius Slayton and James Bradbury. I
Yeah.
think locking down the outside is more important than that safety depth.
I agree. As much as Slade's getting older, Bradbury's also now 30. I
Yeah,
think if you want to run it back for what they're doing for 1, 2 years, I get it. This team, the Eagles have had very good teams. They've had very good teams with one good corner. They've never really had many teams, besides like the early 2000s, with two guys on the outside who are pretty much locked down or very, very, very solid. It worked last year. It worked well. It was really hard to throw in this team. It helps your safety
I,
unit too. So it's always this team is
it
always
does.
yeah.
Now, who's in your slot right now? Who's the main slot for you
We
guys?
have Avante Maddox, who is probably a
Mm,
top 3 to 5 slot cornerback in the NFL. He's prone to injuries, but when he's out there, he's very solid.
all right, all
Yeah,
right. I like it. I'll tell you what. When James Bradbury got cut, I was pretty heartbroken.
yeah.
You
Well,
know, I've been heartbroken by a few, but then to go see him play so well, and but you know what? He did cost you guys the Super Bowl, so I think that was his little
yeah.
give back to the Giants.
It might have been, especially Kadarius Tony too going off. That might have been.
Yeah, that was like, you know what? We can't beat you this year, but we're gonna
Yeah.
send Kadarius Tony over so
Well,
we can get who we got.
it's funny too because Eagles signed Bradbury late-ish in the offseason last year, and I didn't know what they were going to get because I remember his first year in New York, pretty good player, similar to what he was
Yeah,
doing in Carolina, and then this last year in New York, not that great. And I'm like, I kind of get why New York didn't want to, give him multi-years, and the Eagles gave him a 1-year deal, which I think was smart,
yeah.
and he outplayed his contract. So it's tough,
Oh
tough,
yeah, by far.
tough for the Giants because I thought what they did was, right at the time. It's just, I didn't think he was that
Yeah,
impressive this last year.
I think that Joe Shane was just trying to do a little soft reset
Yeah.
and like letting go of players like Blake Martinez too, who
Yep.
ended up being an amazing Pokemon
Yeah, he's
card
retired now.
opener.
They're like,
But he actually just got banned from selling Pokemon cards on his website because he was selling fake cards.
not
Or-
good.
yeah, I know. And I'm a big Pokemon card guy myself. I was really a fan of Blake's breaks, but
I
couldn't
forget a
figure it
Giants fan told me Blake Martinez, he'll lead the league in tackles with like 160, but he'll also lead the league in missed tackles with 200.
out. Hey, was that me?
It might have been you. I know too many Giants fans. I'll say that. So
That's fair.
it
That's
could have
fair.
been you.
I mean, hey, he was he led the league in tackles for like 3 years.
I
But
bet he was a machine.
and could we have used him last year? Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Is there any more key pieces, key additions, key losses? Anybody that
They
you're excited about?
they jumped on the third day in the beginning of the fourth round to draft Keely Ringo, cornerback out of Georgia. They love the Georgia guys. Um,
Philadelphia Bulldogs. Yep.
I think it is great that he's going to get to sit behind those two, Slay and Bradbury, and watch.
Mhm.
I think it's tough to be a rookie cornerback in the NFL and jump out there week one and be on the outside. I just think it's impossible. I think one guy has done it really well, like Sauce Gardner with the Jets. Really hard to do it
Yeah.
otherwise. I think it's good that he's going to get to develop. He had a great career at Georgia, but he'll get to sit a little, and he got good experience against the Ravens last week, which is good. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see with him. He's a
I know
good
he's a
project to have.
prospect. Yeah, definitely a project. I know
Right.
come draft time, a lot of people were 50-50 on him. Some people thought he could sneak into the second round. You guys got him in the
Right.
fourth.
Yeah, the value looks like it's there. He's very fast, especially for his size, which is exciting. There are a lot of clips where you see him out of the play and he'll chase down a guy who's sprinting diagonally to the sideline or down the sideline. So it's awesome to see that. We'll see.
Yeah, he's definitely got the speed and size.
Yeah.
Just maybe not all put together yet. And anybody else? I mean, I know you guys. Well,
We
let's
we
talk about the
signed
running backs.
we signed Rashad Penny. We signed him for like 500,000 guaranteed, which
Mm-hmm.
means that he might not make the team. He could get cut. At the time, it made sense that they signed him. They didn't have much. The only guy under contract was Kenny Gainwell, I think, unless they signed Boston Scott before that, but I don't think
They
he did.
did, yeah. Well, oh, maybe when they signed up. Yeah, I know
Right.
he's there now.
He
Trust
is.
me, I'm aware of Boston Scott.
He's our two game kind of player every year,
Oh yeah,
and we'll get into that too. But
yeah,
Penny, very good. I mean, with Seattle, very good when healthy. Statistically, I think a
yeah.
top five running back in the NFL, maybe even higher.
When
Uh,
healthy, yeah,
yeah, he's that good. He's not healthy a lot, which is tough.
yeah.
I I don't think apparently he's like RB3 right now in training camp. We'll see. Hopefully he stays healthy.
So
It's
he's So do you think DeAndre Swift is going to be a 3 down back, or what's the rotation looking
I
like
don't
right
think
now?
it's tough. I think it's going to be a mix between Swift and Kenny Gainwell right now, which is
Really?
yeah, which is I like Gainwell a lot. He's really talented. I've always liked him. He's a little small to be, you know, RB1 in my opinion.
Well, because he came out of Memphis, right?
He did come out of Memphis.
And he was kind of like that
And
same receiving back, but he was like,
he played a lot of
smaller.
receiver too at Memphis,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
He was
I
like
liked him coming out of the draft. I thought he had an
yes,
awesome name, Kenneth Gainwell. I mean, as a
right.
receiver, running back hybrid, Gainwell. You could get the gains.
It
Well, I
helped
mean,
yeah, listen. The name's
but
there.
I feel like he really hasn't made much of an impact. Did he have a 100-yard game last year? I believe.
I think he did. I think he played really well, all jokes aside, against the Giants in the divisional round in the playoffs. I
Yes.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
some of it was a little garbage yards too. But he's had moments like he's never been like a big. This is I think third year, not fourth. But he's never had a huge role behind Sanders. But when they have
Yeah.
called his number, he's been pretty productive. He's scored a lot of touchdowns. I think like statistically, his touchdowns are pretty off the charts for the number of touches he's had, which is interesting. Um,
Yeah.
because he's also not that big, so they're not necessarily using him at goal line situations. But
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking right here. He had 5 touchdowns last year,
yeah,
or 5 touchdowns in 2021. He had 4 touchdowns in 2022 with only 291 rushing yards, 240 rushing yards.
right.
Not to mention, I mean, receiving yards, like he puts up, for the third running back, second running back, 250 receiving yards. It's
Well,
awesome.
I think the Eagles were dead last in uh, running back receiving yards and catches, and they want to bring that back. Like the Eagles, they've historically been, within the last 20 years, they had Brian Westbrook, who was awesome out of the backfield. They had LaShawn McCoy, who was awesome catching out of the backfield. They bring in Swift, who should be that guy. They bring in a guy like they have Kenny Gainwell, who can be that guy. I think
Yeah.
Boston Scott can catch out of the backfield too. So we'll see.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah. I
some
mean,
options.
I think you guys keep Rashad Penny. I think he's a good 3 down back.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, he's definitely the most talented when healthy in terms
yeah.
of just purely rushing the ball.
Yeah. He hasn't been as productive in training camp this year. We'll see. I think I've referred to the running back situation as a lot of misfit toys. There's a lot of talent in different ways, which I love, but I think there's still missing. Like Nick Sirianni, both years has always had a lead back in
Mm-hmm.
Miles Sanders, and
Yeah.
which for him that means nobody getting within 100 carries to Sanders. So if someone if someone had like 100 carries as a running back, Sanders would have had 201 or more, which is
Yeah.
pretty big difference. We'll
Yeah.
see. I know Jonathan Taylor could be on the market. I think Howie might.
Are there rumors leading that way or no?
I don't think there are rumors specifically with the Eagles, but it seems like I think this team wants a lead back. I don't know, and I think if you bring in someone like Taylor, again, big move. It would cost a lot.
Yeah.
We can't act like this is like we can't just throw it out and say like, wouldn't it be nice if like the Eagles could add Lawrence Taylor in there? Like, of course, if you are able to get a guy like Taylor, especially if the Colts are lower the price a little bit because no one's going to give him a first. You
Yeah.
have Jonathan Taylor, and then you've DeAndre Swift as the backup who changes the pace a little, but also catches out of the backfield. It would be interesting. It would be a pretty formidable backfield for the Eagles.
I mean, all I've heard is that you guys are rotating everybody. Nobody's
Yeah,
kept a clear lead, but I do like Rashad Penny a lot.
I do too.
It's only the health thing,
Yeah,
and obviously we have some new signed additions that also have that
yes.
health. Actually, two of our biggest names. Is there anybody else you want to discuss?
I don't think anybody. I think we addressed everybody. Sean, would you like to go with your New York Football Giants?
I've been chomping at the bit, to get into this. I am very excited for football season.
So patient. I was going to say you had to sit through all that Eagles hype, being able to restock the cupboard even after the Super Bowl.
Well, I'm very aware, painfully aware. I think any logical fan, so I'm not talking to you Cowboys fans, but would understand that the Eagles are definitely still the top of not just the NFC East, but probably the NFC.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because you guys were able to reload in so many positions.
Yeah.
Obviously, a team that we all play this year because we play the NFC West. The 49ers, I think, are the top competition with you guys. But
yeah,
it's time to talk about the Giants.
Let's be real. Can't wait.
Said to take a sip from that Giants chalice. So, key losses, I would say, were Julian Love. I love Julian Love. I thought he was an amazing pickup in the 4th round, back in the same draft as Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But as much as I do love him, I think that our safety depth looks amazing right now.
Yeah.
And they're no big names, but Julian Love didn't really come on the scene until last year as like a starting, respected safety in the league. He was always promising, but he kind of came together. And I think Wink Martindale, who has always had great safeties under him, he's going to be able to get the best out of Jason Pinnock and Dane Belton. Jason Pinnock played 2 series in the preseason game. First play of the preseason game against the Lions was an interception.
There you go.
And then he also had a tackle for a loss on a blitz. Got Jahmyr Gibbs. Everybody is in love with Jahmyr Gibbs. Gets him 4 yards in the backfield. Pretty solid. And then he had a nice pass breakup on Sam Laporta, the 2nd-round tight end, who is a very athletic tight end. He's one of those, like, almost a sub Darren Waller type, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that safety depth. We also lost Nick Gates. That's the other big name that I feel like we lost, which was not even a full-time starter. He was a rotating guard center, which is something that Brian Daboll loves to do, which is a little weird. Our offensive line last year, we had one amazing bright spot, our shining light, Andrew Thomas, best left tackle in the league. Even Jordan Mailata said that to us. You remember that? True. He said there may be 1, 2. Me and Jeremy met Jordan Mailata outside of the bar a couple months ago.
Yes.
And he's an amazing guy. Amazing singer.
Yes.
Very good guy. But he was honest. He said, this is what he said. He goes, Andrew Thomas and me were very different. Is he
British?
He's New Zealand. I don't know. I don't have the New Zealand accent down.
Aussie.
He Aussie. New Zealand? That's pretty much the same.
Yeah, sure. Why not? But that was, I'm just saying, that was a British accent. It was good, but.
But what he said was, Andrew Thomas is more of a technical tackle, and I'm more of a mauler, But he said he said it very.
He was good.
Very amazing. He also said that Kayvon Thibodeau.
What do you say about him?
He said that he's a chirper and he can't back it up. But you know what? I think Kayvon's going to turn it around. I think he's going to turn it around. He also said I was the nicest Giants fan he ever met. So
yeah, says a lot. And for the record, I think Thibodeau will be a good player too. I thought he was good last year. I think it's his rookie year. He's got a lot to learn, but I thought he was productive enough last year.
Yeah, and also prime time. Like, he was stellar in prime time. When it counted, when it mattered most. Obviously, everybody looks back to that play against Washington where he had that little strip sack. That was killer. That's what you look forward to and your defensive ends, especially for a team like the Giants who have been so light. We had Olivier Vernon was a big DN for us back on our last playoff run. Let him go to the Browns. Marcus Golden, who he was the last defensive end with over 10 sacks. And obviously, we had Leonard Williams in his contract year put up over 10 sacks. But and we'll see, because neither Azeez or Kayvon have put over 6.5 sacks in a season yet, and those are
that'll change this year. I imagine.
I believe it will. I believe it will. But going back to Nick Gates, which I think we went on a little bit of a tangent there with Jordan.
I was going to add too. What was your what were you thinking when Thibodeau broke Nick Foles in half and started doing snow angels next to a dead body? Your thoughts?
You know what? I know you guys love Big Dick Nick over in Philly, and I do. I lived in Philly at that time. Disclaimer: Temple grads, me and Jeremy. I was cringing a little bit. I was like, that is a 6. Oh, God, no. Did he kill him? There was a little bit of that. I was very nervous.
Yes.
But, and also the snow, I was like, dude, please. I honestly don't think he knew.
I don't think he did either.
I don't think he knew at all. Like, on that angle, dude, you're getting into it. Like, maybe he saw him, like, cringing in the background.
But he was too far gone. He said, this was my moment.
Kayvon's a good guy. I like him. Azeez Ojulari, good guy too. Not a good tipper, from what I've heard from my coworkers, but I like him as a guy.
That's a New York thing, though. Stingy tippers, or
that is true.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he's from New York, but yeah, I think it is. It. I don't know.
Highly doubtful. Where did he go to school? LSU?
No, Azeez?
Yeah.
He was Georgia.
Oh, facts.
Yeah, Georgia. Yeah, him and Andrew Thomas. We had we've had our own little run of Georgia players. I mean, that's just because Georgia's one of the best schools.
Yeah, they produce a lot of talent. Yeah.
But anyways, getting back to Nick Gates. Nick Gates, who I loved, I did not want to see leave. I think most Giants fans agreed that he should have been just a mainstay at the starter, but they like to. John Feliciano, who we signed last year for a 1-year deal, and let walk. I think Nick Gates performed better than him. And also at left guard and right guard, Mark Lewinsky, who I'm not in love with. He's a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. He was better on the Colts. He had better years on the Colts. Last year is very weak in the pass blocking. Also, he was next to a struggling Evan Neal on the right side.
Yeah, and then that entire side, my goodness.
And we'll get to it. I think that we've upgraded at our depth in terms of, just drafting John Michael Smits. And also this year we have a healthy Josh Azudu, who was our 3rd-round pick last year. And I think that he's going to definitely – he has the talent. He hasn't put it together yet. But also our second best offensive lineman last year, who was also rotated in, Ben Bredesen, I think that this year they're going to keep him in the lineup a little bit more, and it'll let Josh Azudu develop.
Yeah, that center you guys took from Minnesota. He's 2nd round, right?
2nd round. People wanted us to take him in the 1st round.
Everybody was
mocking him in the 1st round. He was the 2nd center taken. Thank you, Jets, for getting Luke Whippler, because Luke Whippler, as much as he has the skills and everything, John Michael Schmitz looked like the prospect who's ready to go. He's older. He was 24 out of the draft.
Yeah.
But he allowed 0 sacks, 0 pressures. He looked really good in run blocking in the first preseason game. And he's been struggling against Dexter Lawrence, who's one of the best defensive tackles in the league. And we need that.
Yeah.
We need a good center, especially with the NFC East. I would say hands down has the best defensive line of any conference.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to go against us, but looking at you guys,
the Eagles,
Jalen
Washington,
Carter, and the 1st-round pick you guys had last year's draft, Jordan Davis, who's
Washington, Deron
Payne, Jonathan Allen. The Cowboys are probably the weakest, but they have a guy who doesn't even like playing football. He just likes hitting people hard.
I love that quote.
Yeah,
that's what I want to hear for a 1st-round pick.
Yeah, me too.
And it's such a Dallas thing.
He had some good plays in that first preseason game too.
Did he?
But yeah, a couple of breakout plays. I was listening to PFF. They said overall he still struggled.
He looks
Obviously,
small.
yeah,
I think he's a nose tackle ultimately.
yeah. But John Michael Schmitz, I mean, I think he's going to probably struggle with the Aaron Donalds of the world, but who doesn't struggle with the Aaron Donalds of the world? But
of course.
I mean, I think for a rookie center, he's a huge upgrade over John Feliciano and Nick Gates.
Yeah.
And I think his ceiling, like he could be a player that we have for the next 10 years, and I'd be very happy with it.
I didn't know you guys rotated your offensive line. That's weird.
Yeah, we are like one of the few teams. Brian Daboll was very big with that last year, and he's doing it right now in preseason. Just in training camp, he's rotating Ben Bredesen, Mark Lewinsky, which was our pickup from the Colts last year. It was our big free agent signing.
Yeah.
Really fun. A mid-tier guard as our big free agent signing last year. This year was a little bit more splash. And then Josh Azudu, who is our third-round pick, but he was hurt for a majority of last year too. Okay. And also, so he has the athleticism and the speed. He had a neck injury that he's still recovering from, so he's a little bit late.
Yeah.
Like if he can get his hands on you, he's got you. But he's like just kind of his hands have been whacked from just all perspectives. He just hasn't been able to get that down. That's something that takes time, and it's essentially the second half of his rookie season in terms of playing time.
That's also true.
So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, there's not really any big, like, we lost Fabian Moreau, our cornerback that started last year, that would not be starting on any other team. Right now.
Where'd he come from? He came from Washington?
I don't know where Fabian Moreau came from. I didn't even really know he was on the roster at the beginning of last season. And
I didn't realize
he played pretty well for us, but he's nobody who I'm really, sad to see go.
Right.
And Jalen Smith, I think, just signed with the Saints. But as much as Jalen Smith was amazing on the Cowboys, he would have like flash plays that are just kind of like guaranteed flash plays. Any middle linebacker should make them.
Yeah.
But he really struggled, especially in coverage, and he kind of lost that step. So
yeah.
But in terms of our free agent additions, let's get the big one out of the way. Darren Waller. Darren Waller, I am very excited for Darren Waller. I think he, first off, is the best tight end in this division. I know everybody loves Dallas Goedert, but you really think so?
Both are good. So? We'll see. I think. I don't want to interrupt. Continue.
No, but so Darren Waller, obviously, he's been hurt the past 2 seasons.
Right.
But he has become. Joe Shane has said in an interview with Rich Eisen, he's going to be we got him as our lead receiver. Like our lead receiver, not lead tight end. And he's that type of guy that we're going to split out wide. We're going to put him in the slot. He can play anywhere.
You can move him around.
Yeah. And also, we still have Daniel Bellinger, who was a 5th-round pick of ours last year.
Yes.
And he played well when he didn't have his eye poked out of his head. He played very well. And honestly, just sure hands, that short stuff, I think if we have to do 2 tight end sets, I'm kind of excited for that. You also have Lawrence Cager, who I'm not as big of a fan of, but he's kind of like a Darren Waller light that we picked off from the Jets. He was originally a wide receiver, but if you wanted to do 2 tight end packages and have 2 speed tight ends go out, it could very much complement it. I think Darren Waller is amazing with the crossers over the field, which Brian Daboll loved doing last year. And the biggest thing is his big playability. So Darius Slayton was our best big player last year, and that's passes over 15 yards.
Right.
And I think Darren Waller, let me see here. Let's see. Darren Waller. Let's see. I might not be able to pull this up, but let's face it. Darren Waller is going to be our leading receiver, and everything in training camp. So I know Talking Giants has been tracking all of the receptions throughout training camp, and I
Okay.
believe Darren Waller is like 15 receptions above anybody else right now, and he's also been taking a lot of rest days because
Interesting.
we're trying to make sure. I mean, and he's not the only one. Not only because he's injury prone, Brian
Yeah.
Dable this year is making a big effort to be conscientious of all of our more veteran players, giving
It
them rest
works.
days,
I'll
1 2
say
days.
it works.
I mean, knock on wood right now, we don't have any major injuries. I think our
Right.
biggest injury right now is an Evan Neal concussion, which is minor, and that has nothing to do with the field. Thank
Right.
God. And then our other big addition, I would say, on offense is obviously Paris Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
Paris Campbell, another injury-prone receiver, but he flashed last year with the Colts when he was able to actually be on the field. He had his best season yet. He right now is running with the starters. So I think his speed, especially if you do a package with Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, and get Jalen Hyatt out there. I mean, I think that's going to be a big addition.
Yeah.
And then Jalen Hyatt, which I love, and he fell to us in the third round. I'm gonna be honest. I wanted Cedric Tillman first.
Okay.
But
he
I
was
love
wasn't he drafted before Hyatt?
He was drafted actually the pick right behind him.
Oh, okay,
By the
interesting.
Browns. But now that I have Hyatt, and as soon as he was drafted, I was like, you know what? I like this. As much as I love Cedric Tillman because he's like more of a pure X receiver, and he's been playing well for the Browns in preseason. Jalen Hyatt is showing off. Yeah, he might struggle getting off press at the line of scrimmage, which is like the biggest drop, which dropped him. I mean, some people had us taking him in the first round, but he's been able to get down the field because once he has that, I mean, he got to 24 miles an hour.
There's something about a receiver who can run down the field really quickly, not do any moves, just go run 30 yards, 40 yards without breaking a sweat quickly. Teams need it. The Eagles sort of have it with Quez Watkins.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing to have.
And his hands have been good too. Like that's the thing. He's been good with contested catches. He's been good with getting open, especially downfield, which is where we need him. And also, even in college, like this hasn't said because he runs a very limited route tree, but he ran a lot of crossers in college too, which is something that Brian Table loves to use. So I don't think he's going to have, like I know he said he wants to be offensive rookie of the year, which is awesome. I love that tenacity. Brian Table did not like it. He's like, okay, shut your cocky mouth up. But I mean, I like it. I think that right now our three receivers that we're running, we have Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, Isaiah Hodgins. That's like our first team set.
Okay.
Isaiah Hodgins was the breakout from last year.
Right.
Cole Beasley, who I didn't think, I was like, I don't even want Cole Beasley, but he's actually been making a huge impact out of the slot.
Okay.
Yeah, and even though Sterling Shepard just got activated off pump last week, Cole Beasley is getting a little bit more reps with the ones in Sterling Shepard's right now. Sterling Shepard's looking better and better. I mean, they're ramping him up.
I don't know. I don't know about Sterling's contract. I assume New York would try to, if he's being paid a little bit, I think they're going to try to move on from him. Maybe.
Well, I don't think he's going to be cut this year just because he's like a coach on the team.
Oh, really? Okay.
I feel like he's just like one of the biggest veteran presences, and I mean, Sterling Shepard last year would have been our number one receiver. Like he had 300 yards in like 2.5 games.
Mm-hmm.
He put up over 100 yards against the Titans. He had Sterling Shepard has that, and also he's just beloved by the team. I think that we keep him. I think that we're going to probably keep 7 wide receivers.
Wow, really?
I'm just like.
Okay.
And I've been going through it, and I've been also watching a lot of different Giants beat reporters and different analysis by Giants podcasters. And Darius Slayton, who almost didn't make the team last year, but has been our leading receiver 4 of the past 5 seasons.
Right.
At Darius Slayton, we got Isaiah Hodgins, who emerged last year, and honestly, they haven't been targeting him as much. And just normal like 11-11s, but on red zone, he's kind of been one of those guys. He just finds those open zones.
Yes.
Yeah. Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, Paris Campbell's going to make the team. And then somebody who hasn't been activated off PUP was a second-round pick last year, Wan'Dale Robinson.
Yes.
So he's supposed to be activated soon, so he's going to be
That's
on
why.
there.
That's why I think they move. I don't know.
I know we have too many slots. We
There's
like
a
to slot
and
machine.
yeah, literally, and there's a lot. 7 receivers is just a lot to have on a football team.
Yeah,
For
I'll tell you what.
especially no like not even trying to chirp for not having like that many special names like at the top too. A lot of
And
interesting names in the middle, but like it's a lot of receivers that like are intriguing, but like nothing like it's like really pops with them.
I'll tell you this: I don't think any receiver on the Giants right now is better than one of the top 2 receivers on any other team in the NFC East. I don't think. I would say our best receiver. I'm talking strictly wide receiver. Darius
Sure.
Slayton is definitely not better than Brandon Cooks.
Okay.
I don't think he's better than Jahan Dotson.
And McLaurin's the one, Dotson's two.
Dotson's the 2, and he's definitely not better than Devonta
Lamb,
Smith.
and Cooks,
Yeah,
AJ, Devonta. Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah, and that's. But I do like the way that we built the team. Everybody has their own things to offer.
No
Like
doubt.
we're mid
Yeah,
right now, wide
yeah.
receiver. But I think we have the depth, and like we were able to make it work last year with Richie James as our number one wide receiver
Right.
for a few weeks. So
Sure.
I feel okay about that. And I should probably get to the defense now. I feel like we've been really going into these to the offense, but for the defense, like I said, we let Jalen Smith walk last year. We really didn't
Hmm.
have much linebacker depth, and that's one of the reasons why we struggled against the run, especially anytime that Dex or Leonard Williams were taken out of the defensive lineup.
Yeah.
But we actually made some pretty big additions in terms of our run defense. Bobby Okereke is just like an all-around great linebacker. We got him from the Colts. He's great in pass coverage. He's smart. Went to Stanford. He was a third-round pick from them. He's excelled. I think he's an 82 on Madden right now, so he's kind of respected.
Listen. That's what matters. I don't care about stats. I don't care about film. I wanted some Madden
Oh, wait,
rating.
Madden knows more than anything else.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's why Daniel Jones I think is still in the 70s, which I definitely do not agree with.
What do you think? What do you think you should be?
I think he should be at 83.
Oh.
I think being fair. I
Oh.
think dude, Daniel Jones.
Who's a current? I'm looking it up. Who's a current 83 on Madden for quarterback? I can't wait.
I feel like Kyler Murray. Anyways, well, you looked at no. Who is it?
No, if it is Daniel Jones as good as Kyler Murray? And let's
Same
look like
draft.
we have to also like ignore like Kyler has trash. Like he's been but like we can't look at Kyler and be like, oh, he's throwing to Andy Isabella and like grade him off of that, even though I think Andy Isabella's long retired. But
Yeah. I think he's on the Bills right now, but
is he?
yeah, he is on the Bills. But he had DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown last year, did he not?
Yeah.
For a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. It was weird though. That was a weird situation. There's a reason why they were drafting so high.
Listen, Daniel Jones for being the turnover machine that everybody had him at, he had the least amount of turnovers last year out of any quarterback.
That started.
That started.
Okay. Interesting.
And not to mention, he had over 700 rushing yards too. And now he had Richie James as the starting receiver. I'm telling you, I think most Giants fans right now are on that hype train. Trust me. Week 1, I was at the Giants-Titans game. I saw that blatant interception with Saquon wide open for the touchdown. And I was like, put in Tyrod. But listen, he also made some huge. He was also one of the reasons why we won. He was one of the reasons why we almost lost. But going towards the end of that season, like Daniel Jones was the reason why we were winning. He wasn't the reason why we were losing.
Yes.
Especially, and that's just kind of marked by the turnovers.
Yeah.
And I think with the weapons this year, he actually has like Darren Waller is a viable receiving option number 1 in this league. And I wouldn't say viable, like he's top 20.
He could be your number 1 in targets and catching. Yeah.
I think he will be.
Yeah. So
maybe
this
he's
is
going back.
this is what I found. I don't know how official. It looks pretty official. At 78, Deshaun Watson.
Oh, well, everybody's poo-pooing on Deshaun Watson.
Okay. All right. Kyler's 79.
Barely.
Goff's an 80. Geno Smith's an 81.
Okay.
Trevor Lawrence is an 82.
Okay.
He's better than Trevor?
I think Trevor Lawrence should be high. I'm just saying.
Okay, fair. Okay,
Season,
got it. Because Tua's an 83.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, would I want him over Trevor Lawrence? Maybe not. Would I want him over Tua? I think so.
Oh.
I think so. I see that. I know you're an Alabama guy.
It's not even. It's not even that. Like the only Tua injury wise, it's tough to get because he's probably one concussion away from retiring. It feels like so. It's it is tough to but skill wise with Tua, I think he surpasses Dan by a good bit. I don't know.
It's just with his rushing ability and Daniel Jones, he is accurate and he can chuck the ball downfield. You haven't seen it until last year, and you still rarely saw it last year. I think Mike Kafka was very conservative last year.
Yes,
but I think now we have those big play receivers. We have Darius Slayton still, who is our only guy getting receptions, where the depth of target was past 15, 20 yards. And now we have Darren Waller, who can be that deep threat. We have Jalen Hyatt, who can be that deep threat. And honestly, Paris Campbell out of the slot can be that deep threat. And I think we're going to see more of that. And, I mean, it kind of sucks because we gave him the guaranteed money. We gave him the contract. This is kind of what I want to see. This was what I'm expecting to see. I think this is what Brian Dable and Joe Shane also expected to see when they gave Daniel Jones that contract. And now they're giving him all the pieces to put his play where his money is. Put his money where his play is. I don't know, something like he better live up to this contract because otherwise, I don't see the Giants being in the playoffs.
Well, can't you opt out of it after year 2?
I think it is after year 2. Yes. Yeah.
That's offensive blow, I think.
Yeah, but I think we'll be okay.
Continue though with the defense.
With the defense, yes. So linebackers. Bobby Okereke, I mean, I think that's a huge step up. I was on that run defense. So we had almost zero depth behind Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams last year.
Right.
But this year we signed Rakeem Nunez, No Chase, Taco, Nacho.
Yes.
That's his name for the Bucs, who's an amazing run stopper for the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's not really that pass rusher, but you put him in on rushing downs, and I feel like he can be viable, and he's a huge upgrade. And then Ashawn Robinson from the Rams, who is also just kind of an all around. Obviously, he probably benefited from being next to Aaron Donald, but being next to Leonard Williams and being next to Dexter Lawrence, I think that definitely fortifies our depth at the defensive line. And not for nothing, we got Jordan Riley in the 6th or 7th round, and he is a huge, huge defensive tackle who's actually been looking really good in preseason, both just in practice and also in the first preseason game.
Did he go to a small school? I'm thinking of
I believe he went to Oregon.
I'm thinking of someone else then. There was just I think he was he went higher than people thought, but there was some tackle who went to a small school who was really intriguing.
Maybe it was Oregon.
Oregon.
It was Oregon. Well, Shane, you know what? He also knows Kayvon. I kind of think it's funny how they pair those. We'll get to the Commanders, but Sam Howell and De'Ami Brown.
Yeah.
It's crazy that they're on the same team, and we'll see.
It helps. They've connect, especially quarterback to wide receiver.
Yeah.
So.
And so this is, like I was saying earlier, the safety depth where we have, I mean, Dane Belton also has been just a takeaway monster. Last season, I think he had 2 of our interceptions, 2 of our 5 interceptions.
Yeah.
Which I think Julian Love had the other 2. We were the lowest in interceptions, I believe, tied with the Colts. We were terrible in turnovers last year. Jason Pinnock, I know that there's that huge picture of him getting that interception against Darren Waller in preseason. Even though that was a throwaway, it shows his athleticism.
Yeah.
Like I said, that nice interception in the first preseason game. Dane Belton also had a nice interception in that preseason game. He also stole the ball from David Montgomery, and it looked super sick in their joint practices against the Lions. So I like that. And then we signed Bobby McCain, which is one of the key losses from the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, he hasn't really made a name for himself in terms of the depth there. I think actually our last pick of the draft, Gervasius Owens out of Houston, has a better chance of making the roster than Bobby McCain right now.
Yeah.
I think he played 90% of the snaps at Washington, but I mean, he's a small guy. When we signed him, I wasn't very excited. I know I was listening to some Washington podcasts, and they like him. You know, he's a fun guy to root for, being a small defensive player. And he also plays the nickel, and he is not really even in the nickel position, which I think is the biggest news to come out of this preseason. Is that Cordell Flott, our third-round pick last year, was supposed to be our nickel, and they really pushed for him at the beginning of preseason.
Mm-hmm.
He's not getting. He was not playing up to it. Darnay Holmes, who everybody thought we were going to cut.
Yes.
At the beginning of preseason, they started putting him over him. He's getting more first-team reps. But who's actually gotten our most first-team reps at nickel corner is Adoree Jackson. Who is
really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because
I can see. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah. So first off, I don't know if this is going to be for the whole season, but there was a quote from Wink Martindale that came out a couple days ago. And he said he wants to put the best 11 on the field. And our slots are trash. Our slots are garbage. But at outside corner, we just drafted in our first round, pick 24. We traded one up for Deonte Banks out of Maryland.
Yes.
Who I love. I mean, he had one of the best RAS relative athletic scores. So even he played well in college, but he also just has the speed, the body, the size, all of that. And I think his biggest weakness, and he was struggling in preseason against our own ones. I think they were picking on him in the beginning. But he's kind of, you don't really hear much of him struggling. And I think he had one of the highest PFF grades in the first preseason game for a cornerback.
Okay.
So he's turning it around. But an even bigger surprise, somebody who's been amazing and has shocked everyone from the beginning of training camp, is our 6th-round pick, Trey Hawkins, out of Old Dominion. And I'm telling you, he might be that Tariq Woolen. I don't think he's going to put up the interceptions Tariq Woolen has. And honestly, I think he's going to probably struggle more.
Yes.
But he has been amazing in coverage, especially with man. Wink Martindale loves doing his man coverage. And he just sticks to the wide receivers. The one fault of his, which we really haven't seen be exposed yet, is when the ball contested catches, kind of letting those, at the catch point, he doesn't always follow through. He doesn't get those pass deflections. He doesn't get those interceptions.
6th-round pick, so.
He's going to be our starter. He's only playing with the first team.
Yeah,
only playing with the first team. And he looked great in preseason. In the preseason opener against the Lions. That's really who I'm looking to see, because I believe that we're going to be seeing a lot of Bryce Young this Friday.
Okay.
And I kind of want to see how he does against, not that the Panthers have exceptional wide receivers, but he was covering both Deonte Banks and Trey Hawkins. Were doing great jobs just sticking to Jamison Williams, who
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Out of Bama.
Yeah, I think Adoree Jackson can play the slot, no doubt. I think he could be pretty good there. Like you mentioned with the NFC East with receivers, I think he's going to have to play the outside. I don't think if he's going to have to cover Lamb. He's going to have to cover AJ Brown.
Lamb comes out of the slot a lot, which is why I think we're doing that right now.
True, but he could also move over.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He goes to the slot to mix it up, and he plays well in the slot too. But he could also just live on the outside. It just Rose if he has to.
Devonta Smith, doesn't he? He takes more of his snaps on the outside than the slot, does he not?
He does. I think in college, it's tough. It's tough to put a guy that side in the slot, which I think the Eagles have found would be nice if they could up him. But I think slot would be elite for him, just to move him around. But he's an outside receiver.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. I mean, I think that Trey Hawkins is going to. I'm excited that we're hitting on a late round pick. I
Yeah.
mean, and I'm saying this in preseason, but the Giants believe in him. And honestly, from everything I've seen, all the highlights, all the reports I've been reading from the beat, I'm excited about Trey Hawkins. Plus, also another great name for a cornerback,
Yes.
Hawkins,
I like it.
Ball Hawk, Trey Ball Hawk, and Hawkins.
That is
I mean,
that.
I love that. I love saying all hail Slayton whenever Taylor Slayton gets a nice deep one. I sing "Ring the Bellinger," whenever Taylor Bellinger. So I do like my names for the players. It
There you
makes it
go.
fun to watch. But yeah, in terms of I think that covers the majority of our picks. And I think we're good to move on to the Cowboys. Is there anything you want to mention about the Giants? Any questions you got for me?
You think that I think they were good last year. I think that they were very limited when it came down to playing good teams, as we saw. Regardless of how you want to view the Vikings last year, I think they were at the end of the year. I think they were a bad team that was in the playoffs because they did well. They did well enough to get there, but it counts. I think I don't know
It
if you.
count, and it takes good coaching. That's like I believe I totally agree. I think our roster was definitely lacking. And I was surprised. I wasn't expecting to make the playoffs last
Yeah,
year. I was just hoping to be competitive
right.
and even get competitive losses.
Yeah,
But come week, I mean, honestly, after week 2, after we started off 2-0, and even after that loss to the Cowboys where we got a little decimated, I still had faith.
yeah.
Beating the Titans week 1, the NFC
You
Championship.
faith. I think Daniel Jones needs to be more accurate. I think you need to start allowing his arm more. I think you need to go downfield more, thread the needle more. Being the NFL, do you think? I think this is what it's coming down to. You saw 4 years with him, hasn't done much of it yet. Got the contract, better roster. I think do you have faith that he can do that?
I do, and trust me, I was there when he was drafted on my birthday, my first year in Nashville. The drafts in Nashville.
Yes,
I was interviewed by the news. I was on the Giants Instagram page because me and my brother were wearing I was wearing my Ingram jersey. He was wearing Saquon, which at the time were the last 2 first round picks.
right.
I remember saying, "I'll tell you what, I just don't want Daniel Jones. Like, I just please do not give me Daniel Jones. Like I'd rather have Drew Lock in the second." But I mean, and I'll never forget Josh Allen, the defensive end out of Kentucky, is falling to us. I'm on my Instagram. I'm at the draft. I'm saying, "We're gonna get Josh Allen. We're gonna get Josh Allen." Daniel Jones. It was yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But I mean, there was things to be excited for him, even just like in his rookie year when he finally got in. Like,
I think he's had moments throughout his time in the NFL where it's like that's pretty intriguing. As someone who's also, hasn't followed the Giants religiously like yourself, I've
yeah,
also seen a lot of moments, but they're concerned because they're in my division. I've also seen a
yeah.
lot of moments with Daniel Jones where it's like really head scratching stuff,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
But I come to the second half of like, I mean, honestly, like I said, like he had the fewest amount of turnovers out of any starting quarterback last year,
yeah,
and that was always the biggest problem with me. And the fact, like, the amount of times that Danny Dimes used his legs, like, that's what I love to see. Like, I love that dual threat. I mean, obviously Jalen Hurts is like one of the premier rushing quarterbacks in the league right now, but
right.
having that with Daniel Jones, I think elevates his game. And now that he has these weapons and Saquon is back, I think this year we're going to see a Pro Bowl caliber year out of Daniel Jones.
Pro Bowl
I'm
caliber.
and let me
Wow.
just and let me just uh let me just add this in so Jeremy knows
Yes.
I'm a bartender for private dining at Martin's Barbecue Joint, best barbecue in Nashville, and I was doing this event for the SEC, and this one guy he comes up to me, he's like, "I'll tell you what, son, you're doing this by yourself?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a little bit of help." He goes, "You're doing a damn good job. Put it here." And he has like this big like SEC championship ring on. And I was like,
Okay.
He's like, I'm a fan of your work. I'm like, well, I'm a fan of your work. I love football. And he's like, really? What's your team? I was like, the New York Football Giants. He goes, do you know who their quarterback is? And I say, yeah, Daniel Jones. He's like, Danny Dimes. That's right. I was his coach. That was David Cutcliffe, the guy who coached Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and was one of the reasons why I think Dave Gettleman drafted Daniel Jones.
Coach at
Because
Duke. What was the
when he
reason? I think. Yeah.
when he was drafted, all the articles came out with Dave. I was like, oh yeah, I know who you are. I've only read your name. I've never seen you. But he was like, he kept coming up. He's like, I want to let you know, I coached Peyton and Eli Manning too. He's better than both of them. He said it. He said it. He pulled me aside. He said, Daniel's better than both of them. And he said, an even better person and player, which I agree. I think he is. I'm just saying, I heard it straight from the source, straight from his coach. I don't know what that is.
Oh, how long ago was this? 20 years?
That was actually last month.
Last month.
That was
Better than
month.
Peyton.
Better than Peyton.
Oh my God.
I'm not. I mean, he's not coaching right now. I think he's just like a part of the SEC council.
I see. I was gonna say, what's this SEC guy used with Duke and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think he's just working in the SEC.
I love listen, I love Giants fans, Sean. He's better than Peyton.
I'm just. Do I believe that? No. I mean, no. But do I think that he will show glimpses, and I think that he can be that Pro Bowl caliber player? I think so.
All right.
This is the best. Okay, first off, this is the best offensive line he's going to have.
Okay.
I mean, projecting, and the best receiving core he's going to have.
Okay.
Of his career yet, like weapons wise.
Sure. Depth wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see.
I think that maybe is enough Giants talk and Eagles. I think it's time to move on.
I'll jump into the Cowboys
section. Yeah,
I'll jump in on the Cowboys. I'll just make a few notes.
My notes here. Yeah,
I won't go over every big, but some losses. Cowboys, obviously Ezekiel Elliott. He just signed with the Patriots.
Yeah,
he was pretty much a backup last year behind Tony Pollard. Pretty awful last year. I don't know if you would disagree. I didn't think he ran well at all.
I didn't think he played very well either.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he had 10 touchdowns.
They used him a lot. Short. Yeah.
But I don't see why they can't replace like that red zone. That red zone depth with. I mean, dude, they have Deuce Vaughn's gonna be in there.
Well, that's a big
I mean, they have Ronald Jones, which, like, obviously he didn't do anything with the key.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how he fits in. They also lost Anthony Brown, cornerback. If he was okay, he had some moments. I didn't think he was too good. Connor McGovern, the right guard, decent player. I think he Penn State grad. Dalton Schultz, tight end. I've always thought he's pretty talented. Him and Dak have had pretty good rapport in Dallas.
I think he also benefited from the Kellen Moore effect of just that passing offense.
I would think so too. Yeah, I think he benefited there. I think he benefited from a lot of talent around him with CD and whatnot. So that helped, and it looks like they also lost Noah Brown, who I never knew if he was a wide receiver, tight end for that team. Later years with them, he was pretty good.
Yeah, Noah Brown had it. Like, I think last year was his best year with him, but like, he's one of those guys like how Richie James never did anything, and then he had like an okay year with us with the Giants.
And I'm saying I'm saying pretty good. That's strong. He was okay with Dallas in later years. They didn't lose much, honestly. Let's see what they gained from the draft. Mozzie Smith, the defensive tackle, a nose tackle from Michigan. I swear, I think they meant to say Nolan Smith out of Georgia. They got them mixed up.
I don't know. I mean, who is their defensive tackle right now? Like who? Because obviously, you know what they have? They still have Jonathan Hankins.
Oh, they still have
Jonathan Hankins too, an ex-Giant. But I mean, he's towards the end of his career.
Yes,
but they do have the defensive ends.
Yeah, they do.
They're not lacking in defensive ends,
right? They took no one else is really too notable. I mean, they got a tight end from Michigan. We'll see. They got Overshawn from
was a
Texas.
reach.
Yeah,
I did really like DeMarvion Overshone
a
because
lot of people did.
I mean, he just has that size, and like I feel like he's good blitzing too.
I think
He has the athleticism.
his
Yeah.
production at Texas, I think, dropped the last few years. But he's one of the
Mhm.
players where it's like just get to the NFL, and it's he's intriguing for sure. Their fifth round pick, Asim Richards, actually went to the same grade school as me. Kind of cool.
Really? No
Yes,
way.
apparently they posted
Was he
on
a
the.
good guy or what?
He's like 10 years younger than me, so I'm not sure.
That's
he's
fair.
not that much,
I didn't
but
know if you were scouting him.
I never, no, I never was there when he was there. But and then the last person I know who they took, Deuce Vaughn, small running back out of Kansas State, who similar comps to Darren Sproles, although not as beefy. Like Sproles was beefy, which
And
they
also, Sproles also a Kansas State back too,
that
which
is
is kind of
true.
crazy.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Vaughn, interesting player. Apparently, it's tough to tackle him because he's so close to the ground, no one can see him. So interesting
I
draft.
I saw that. I saw a little bit of Sproles in the preseason from Deuce Vaughn.
Okay.
Like he had 3 defenders circling him, and he was able to just kind of just scoot in between them,
Yeah.
like a mouse running through a crack.
Yes. Yeah, there's something to that when it comes to the running back. I mean, there's sometimes you can't see these guys and they're already 10 yards down the field when you notice them. Who they signed in the offseason. A few guys I want to note. Uh, Brandon Cooks. I hate Dallas. I think it's a good move. He's been productive the last 4 years, like really productive. Like he's gone not under the radar for his name, but just because he's been with the Texans and bad teams, he's been pretty productive the
I
last
mean,
few years.
he's been a perennial 1,000-yard receiver
Yeah,
every year he's been in the league, except for last year with
right,
Davis Mills and the Texans. So
right.
I mean, yeah, I
I
I
think,
wanted Brandon Cooks last year
yeah,
during the trade deadline.
right.
Everybody was like hyping the Giants to get, can we get DJ Moore? Can we get Brandon Cooks? I think they wanted like a first round
I
pick
think the
for him.
Texans were asking a lot for him, which was a
Yeah,
mistake because they lost him ultimately. But
I think he's only 29 going into this year too. I
not
believe. I
that
think.
old. He's had a lot of
Yeah.
injuries throughout his career, which is something to note. But he's productive when he plays. It's a good pickup for them, no doubt. They took. They also picked up Stephon Gilmore. I don't know how I feel. I feel like with the Colts, he wasn't anything special. Maybe just different at scenery at his age. I don't know. He'll start, so he's definitely had a good career, but I don't know how I feel about it. Ronald Jones, don't know if he
Yeah.
makes
I
the
mean,
team.
obviously, yeah. Ronald Jones, I think is I mean, he did nothing with the Chiefs last year, and it's not like they didn't need depth at the running back position,
Right.
and the
They
fact that they didn't use him.
they franchise tagged Tony Pollard. Don't love franchise tagging running backs.
Me neither.
They had to sign him some way, so at least he's on the roster, I guess. Good player though, no doubt. They re-signed Leighton Vander Esch.
Yep.
Good depth. I don't think he's been as good as when he first entered the league, but
Yeah, he kind of slowed down. He was
it's
like he looked like he was going to be the next star linebacker,
yeah,
but yeah,
he's had a lot of injuries, which has hurt him.
he wore the neck brace, which is like you don't see as much for linebackers, but any
It's
linebacker with a neck brace looks way tougher than
yes,
they are.
there's certain people who wear it who shouldn't wear it. It looks so silly. But anyway, looks like they
Yeah.
re-signed Cooper Rush. Whatever. I guess he was a
Hey,
free
dude,
agent.
he was a superstar last year.
Apparently, that's what I've heard. Dante Fowler, depth at end,
Hmm.
not awful, I guess. And that's pretty much it from what I would note. So I think Cooks is big. I
Yep.
think they had to trade Amari Cooper because financially they couldn't keep him. And that hurt them a lot last year, without a doubt. So
I mean, yeah, I think that Dak struggled, and you know how I was talking earlier about Daniel Jones
yeah,
having the least amount of turnovers last year. I think Dak Prescott was in at least the top
I
3.
think he led. Yeah, he might have.
I think he led too.
Yeah,
I
so
think he did. And I heard everything that I'm hearing in preseason is that the turnovers are still an issue.
yeah, it's just
And Trayvon Diggs might have told him to shut his bitch ass up, which was.
I love that.
Did you see that?
I saw that. And he
And now
complimented.
he says it's not a big deal, which I don't think it's a big deal, but I still think it's hilarious.
I don't think it's a big deal, but it's always happening in Dallas. You don't see like these stories happening. It's always Dallas. So
there hasn't been any fights amongst the Giants players,
right?
Yet.
Well, because Feliciano isn't on the team, right?
Yeah, dude, Feliciano. Yeah. Thank you for that tie, Feliciano. Thanks for keeping us from double-digit wins in the regular season. That was awesome, buddy.
My assessment on Dallas, they didn't lose that much. They didn't. I don't know how much they gave, but their offseason was solid. I think. Again, I'm just Gilmore. Maybe Gilmore. It's hard to see like how good he's going to be because I think obviously his better years are pretty far behind him. We'll see how he can do across from Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, I think he's definitely an upgrade. Like over there, who is their cornerback?
Right. Jordan Lewis is their slot guy, right?
Yeah, Stephon Gilmore was, 3 years removed from defensive MVP. He played at least average last year. I think he's. Oh yeah, Anthony Brown. Anthony Brown was their cornerback too.
Oh wow,
that was one of their key losses. Yeah,
that's probably an upgrade.
I think so. Another loss. You're saying Anthony Barr. I don't know how true this is. I guess the Giants are looking into him at linebacker.
Oh, are they Barr?
I mean, we'll see. I think I don't know if DeMarvion Overshone is going to step in right away. But I mean, as a third round linebacker, linebackers usually go. I mean, you'll find a good starting linebacker in the second, even like the fourth round.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, Bobby Okereke is a third round linebacker. He's our starter and one of our big name, actually our biggest signing of the year, because Darren Waller we got in the trade for the pick that we got from Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then our second string linebacker is Micah McFadden. Or our number 2 linebacker, I should say, is Micah McFadden, who we got in the 5th round last year. Mm-hmm. And also Darian Beavers out of Cincinnati, who we got in the 6th, I believe, last year. And those guys are fighting for it. Looks like Mike is going to have it. But I think they're going to be let's face it, I think the Cowboys have on paper the second best team in the division.
Yes, I would agree.
With these losses in game, like I think they're still right around where they were last year. But I also think that the Giants are going to beat them week 1.
There you go.
I think so.
There you go.
You have any thoughts on that, or do you want to save that for another episode?
Where's the game, Dallas?
It's at MetLife Stadium, actually. Sunday Night Football.
Wow. I think it's a good game. You guys always play week 1 every year, it feels like.
Yeah, not last year, but
right.
So the last year we were in the playoffs, I know that we opened with the Cowboys and we beat them.
Mm-hmm.
We're the only team to beat them. We beat them twice. And
last year you beat them twice?
No. Oh. Last year we lost to them twice. Last year when Dak Prescott got injured week 1, I remember I texted all my Cowboys friends and I was like, "You guys are fucked. Good luck with Cooper Rush." And then we played them on Monday Night Football week 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we did not play very well.
Right.
We lost. Yeah. And then on Thanksgiving too. I mean, I know that we were missing Xavier McKinney. Adoree Jackson was out too. Like we were missing 2 of our best coverage players. But I mean,
I'm gonna give
it is what it is.
I'm gonna give the game to Dallas. I hate to be that guy, but
you're gonna give it to Dallas?
Week 1, I think so.
I don't know. I think I mean, I'm just okay. This is another thing that I haven't brought up because we did want to discuss preseason. The Giants' offense in preseason last year was abysmal. I know that there was that whole thing where Brian Dable was feeding the plays to Wink Martindale so that
Yes.
he could scheme the defense to make Daniel Jones feel the pressure, feel the struggle, see if he had the capacity to deal with sucking at quarterback essentially.
Yes.
And he succeeded. But also Brian Dable wasn't given the plays the whole preseason, and Daniel Jones and the whole offense looked awful in preseason. This year, our offense is looking like a superstar offense from all the reports. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the stuff that you're not going to hear. Everybody says preseason is nothing, but there's a lot of times where some of the storylines in preseason do translate to the regular season. And with health, if everybody stays healthy, I think this is going to be a new Giants offense, and I think we're going to be 10th best offense in the NFL.
Top 10 offense. There you
I'm
go.
top 10. Maybe I actually think 10th. That's how confident I think we're going to be top 10, but not before 9.
I
I
see.
think
10,
yeah.
solely 10.
I think last year we finished like 16th or 15th, so we were right there in the middle, which was a huge improvement
Sounds about right.
for
Yeah.
us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah. Anyway, I guess it's time to talk about the Commanders.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Good old Washington Commanders. Let's dig into this right here.
Yeah,
So
I'm gonna look at that those notes.
let's see here. So in terms of losses, Bobby McCain, who I already mentioned before, like I said, I don't think that that's going to matter as much because they also drafted Jartavius Martin, right? Correct? Is that his name? There we go. Jartavius Martin, yeah, out of Illinois. So he played with your boy Sidney Brown out
That's
of
right.
Illinois, and also with the first cornerback taken in the draft, Devon Witherspoon. And like I said, from what we've seen in Bobby McCain this year, that this preseason,
Mm-hmm.
I think and he's approaching his 30s. He's getting older. He's a smaller prospect. He's not as much of he's more of a football player, between the ears than he is body type. But Jartavius Martin, I think, is somebody who everybody loved coming out of there. He's somebody who can play the nickel. He can play outside. He can play safety. Essentially, what Bobby McCain was throughout his career. He played outside corner. He played the nickel. He played safety with them the past few years. I think that they're not going to miss that. So in terms of projecting replacements, obviously this guy's a rookie. Rookie defensive backs don't always play exceptionally. They also lost Trey Turner, the right guard, who played about 65-70% of their snaps last
Mm-hmm.
year. They lost Carson Wentz.
Interesting situation with the quarterbacks there.
And Taylor Heineke. I don't know.
Oh yeah, where'd Taylor go?
Taylor went to the Falcons.
Oh yeah.
And I think that Carson Wentz went to a cornfield somewhere. I don't know
He
where
probably did.
I don't know where he went. So other key losses, center Chase Roulier, and I believe so they replaced him with, like I said, they signed Nick Gates, who was our center guard rotational player. He was mainly a center for us
Mm-hmm.
before last year. Obviously, he almost never came back to football because he almost had his leg amputated, kind of an Alex Smith situation.
Jesus.
But when he came back, he played very well last year.
I would assume that he'd fill in for their center position in Washington.
Yes.
Not knowing,
Yeah.
I don't know exactly their personnel, but I would assume they slide him in too.
So I believe he will start at center. But Ricky Stromberg, their third round pick, who out of Arkansas, who I liked a lot. If we didn't get John Michael Smith, Ricky Stromberg was somebody who I thought would be, and all of his scouting reports said he's going to develop he's not a day one starter, but he has all the tools.
Yeah.
He has the mental. He's a very smart player. I know he did an interview with Bootleg Football, pre-draft, and they were super impressed with his knowledge of everything football related.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Nick Gates and Ricky Stromberg, between those two, replacing Chase Rulier, who honestly, before I started diving into the Commanders, I had no idea existed in the NFL. I don't know about you, but I think that maybe Ricky Stromberg makes a push towards the end of the season. But Nick Gates, like I said, he was probably our third best offensive lineman last year, and that's not saying much for the Giants behind Andrew Thomas. But I think that he's a serviceable starter in the league and a career one.
Yeah.
So I think he'll slot in there. Also in the draft, and this was a shocking pick, Emmanuel Forbes out of Mississippi State at pick 16, and they picked him before Christian Gonzalez, who, I mean, it was always unanimous amongst draft pundits that he would be in a top 10 pick, Christian Gonzalez. The Patriots obviously got lucky. He fell.
Yeah.
And Deonte Banks, the corner that we drafted at 24, was also predicted to go in the top 20 ahead of him. I like Emmanuel Forbes. Are you familiar with him as a prospect? Or
I like Forbes. I think that he was I think that he's going to jump, if assuming that everything translates from Mississippi State to the NFL. I think he can be a ball hawk and jump in front of a lot of passes. And that's the prospect. I totally get taking him ahead of Gonzalez and Banks. Will it translate? I don't know, but I there's a lot of it's an intriguing pick because I don't like Washington. I think it's I think he'll help them out for years to come.
There hasn't been anything saying that he's struggling. I think he is also a rookie corner,
Right.
so you expect, and he still needs to put on weight. He came out at the end of his season last year was 166 pounds.
Yeah,
I think at draft time he was around 170. So hey, look for those Eagles. If he gets blocked by,
he's going to get bodied. He will get bodied by AJ Brown.
I think Devonta Smith could probably body him.
He might. That might be the only player too. Yeah. That's the thing about Washington too. Everything defensively, you look at their team and their front. Their defensive line is amazing, name wise. Secondary, nothing special. You could just throw them all year last year.
Yeah, I know they have. Let's see, Benjamin St. Juice in the secondary.
Yeah, he's
Kendall Fuller in the secondary, who's not terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, Kendall Fuller's always been great.
He's a name, no doubt.
Definitely a name. Definitely a name.
No, he's okay.
No, but he came from, I don't know, I always forget. Was he the Bears or the Chiefs? Because there's the brothers.
I think he was the Bears. Yeah, there's the other Fuller too. I think Bears. Yeah. Could be wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, they were able to retain Deron Payne. That was amazing.
That's a good, yeah.
Other than that, they retained David Mayo, an old Giants linebacker. He's a depth piece at best. Yeah, nothing really. I think the biggest news coming out of Washington this year is more so the development of their investments, and that is obviously Sam Howell at the start.
Yeah. Yeah. They're gonna get who's the backup now for Washington then?
Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would start Brissett. It depends what they're looking. You can't start Brissett because they have to play Howell at this point. But they want. I don't know.
Was there a time in your career that you said that Sam Howell would be better than Jalen Hurts?
Oh, never. Listen, Howell. There are a lot of things I said about Hurts early on, but it was Sam Howell. That never came. I've never liked him at all.
Are you sure?
Maybe someone else. You could be thinking of someone else.
All right. Hey.
It certainly wasn't Sam Howell.
I mean, he was supposed to be a first round. That's something that I think needs to be of note because
Yeah.
I know that they got him. I think in the later rounds, in the 4th or 5th round of last year's draft. But he was predicted before his senior year of college, where
Yeah.
he lost Javonte Williams, he lost Michael Carter, he lost De'Ami Brown, he lost essentially his entire offense,
No doubt.
and they switched from more of that vertical offense, which is why he was going to be a first round pick because he showed that vertical ability to hit receivers down the field. And then they switched more to an RPO offense, and he was actually an amazing rusher in college. So that's something that I'm curious to see because Eric Bieniemy is probably, I mean, looking at these names of people that they've added that are going to be immediate contributors, I think Eric Bieniemy is probably the biggest. I mean, in terms of their free agent additions, there's nobody that's really jumping off the board for me that I think is going to change this team.
Bieniemy's big. We'll see if he can develop him. I think how he's not great size, not the best arm strength. We'll see.
Yeah,
he's got talent. I mean, McLaurin's. I love McLaurin and Dotson.
I love John Dotson too. I'll tell you what.
They still have Curtis Samuel.
They still have Curtis Samuel.
That's a solid 3.
That's a good starting 3.
Yes.
I really wanted Curtis Samuel. They're still very intriguing. And then Logan Thomas is.
He's had a moment too.
He's an addition. He was injured last year, so he kind of disappeared. Everybody was on Logan Thomas.
He's been productive in the yeah.
So, also I forgot to mention Andrew Wiley for tackle depth. He wasn't an amazing tackle, but I believe he will start for them. He started for the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl, and you saw that turned out against you guys. Against a really good. He actually had his best game probably against you guys, and
apparently
your edge rushers.
The sod father screwed the grounds. That's a discussion for another time. I would add too, assuming you're wrapping up Washington, the Eagles also added, of course, the Eagles also added an offensive and defensive coordinator, Brian Johnson, for offense.
Yep.
Very intriguing. He was a quarterback coach. He's pretty intriguing as a whole. Was at Florida, has done a pretty good job in Philadelphia the last few years. Brought in Sean Desai to be the defensive coordinator for the Bears. Another guy who seems young, energetic. So we'll see. We'll see with those guys. It's the first time that an NFL team has lost both coordinators in the same offseason since maybe the early 90s. I forget which team. But, just another challenge that this team will have to defeat.
As long as you got Sirianni at the helm, I think.
I think so. Steichen was great, though. I don't know how he'll do as a head coach with the Colts because the Colts, in terms of management and Ballard, I don't know how great Ballard is as a GM after all. We'll see how good he is. As an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia, he was phenomenal. He just did a great job developing Jalen. Sirianni, too, but it's a loss there.
I think that Chris Ballard had Anthony Richardson in mind the entire time, and that's why he brought in Steichen.
Yeah.
Because of that rushing ability with Anthony Richardson.
He's intriguing. Quickly on Richardson, I mean, he never, wowed anybody statistically at Florida. Didn't win. I mean, won a little bit, but didn't really win as a whole there. So, I don't know about him, but there's something about quarterback position where you got to grab him early in every draft.
Oh yeah. I mean, hey, look at Daniel Jones. Now he's extended.
That's right.
Number 6 overall pick.
There you go.
And oh man, I like him. I like DJ.
Oh, I know.
Plain Jane.
I know.
I didn't like him for a while, but you know what? I do believe in Daniel Jones.
I like him too. If it makes you feel better.
You like him?
I like
playing against him.
I like playing against him. Yes.
Yeah, hey, that's fair. That's fair. Anything else you want to get to before we wrap this up?
I think that's pretty much. I think just to add, I think that he had a lot of. It was good that the Giants made the playoffs last year for his sake and for the team's sake, just to get that experience. I thought against the Eagles, he looked like a deer in the headlights. He was also going up against a pretty solid defense, great team as a whole. So kind of a rude awakening to NFL playoffs. But if you're the Giants, you're going to take your licks and wounds. Eagles did it the year before against the Bucks, where they squeaked into the playoffs and played atrociously against Tom Brady in Tampa in the first round. So it happens.
I want to say, so I was talking about bootleg earlier. I'm a big fan of the bootleg football podcast.
Yeah.
But when they were discussing the Giants, they said the Giants might be the new Eagles. They might be the new Eagles. Hey, I'm just saying. No, maybe not this year, but how.
All right, yeah.
You know how, listen, 2 seasons ago, what was your record?
9-8.
9-8. And before that was that terrible year, right? That was the year.
Yeah, that was
wanted to put in Nate Sudfeld.
Yeah, that was like 4-12, 5-11.
That was the last Doug Peterson year.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes to show you don't really know what happens until the season starts up again. Because I remember when Nick Sirianni got hired at that press conference, I was texting you, and that was. And meanwhile, when Joe Judge got hired, I was like, "This guy rocks!"
Right? It's tough.
I want to run through a wall for him.
Dable's a coach. If there is a team of coach to do what the Eagles did, he's a good option, and I think that he's capable of. He's a good option for the Giants to keep going with. So
yeah, I'm definitely a big fan. I'm a big fan of him all around. Personality, cigar smoking.
Yes.
Look. He looks like a head coach.
There's something about that look.
Like you ride a Bumble. Yeah, I mean, we had some scrubs. I think we found a guy, offensive coach of the year. I mean, the coach of the year this year. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that we have some big things coming up. This is the first episode ever.
Yeah,
I don't even know how.
I gotta write down every take you have. Giants top 10 in offense.
Okay.
Daniel Jones. What did you say about Daniel Jones? Better than Peyton and Eli and Mahomes.
Okay, no. I didn't say anything. I was quoting his coach and Peyton's coach and Eli's coach, David Cutcliffe.
Yes.
I remember when I texted my brother accidentally. I texted him some priest from Australia because I said Cunliffe. I think I'm pretty sure it's David Cutcliffe.
It is.
Okay, Cutcliffe.
Yes.
Cutcliffe. Yes. Yeah. I think I called him Cutcliffe a couple times by accident. It's like such an honor. Yeah. But
I'll make sure to record every take you have.
All right, that's good. Well, we'll send this. We'll keep track of this. So I think we're gonna save. But yeah. So the whole purpose of this was going over the teams, their additions, subtractions, how they're looking so far in preseason, if they look like a better or worse team. So I think that we should both give our takes. Let's start with the Eagles. Better or worse team going into the next year, and why?
I think record-wise they'll be worse because it's hard to win 14 games in a year. Their schedule's a little more difficult. I think as a team, though, I think defensively they'll be similar, maybe a little worse. Offensively, same thing, but they also have the last year under their belt, which might help them as a whole and give them a head start. Record-wise, I think they're worse, but team-wise and experience-wise, maybe they're better, which ultimately could be Super Bowl champions. Hard to say with them.
I mean, I agree. Like I said earlier, I think that they're probably the favorite in the NFC, aside from maybe the Niners, which ironically, I think the Niners are the reason why their record might be worse because everybody in the NFC this year, we played the NFC.
That's a big game. Eagles-Niners is a big game.
And just playing the NFC West, like the Seahawks aren't a joke. The Niners are not a joke. The other team.
Arizona is a joke.
Oh, Arizona is a joke. Arizona is very much a joke. And the Rams are
are jokey.
The Rams They are. I mean, I think they're going to be much better than last year.
Yeah,
But I
we'll
think
see. Stafford fully healthy, Cup fully healthy.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, they should be
Yeah.
better.
But then also we're playing, and that was the other thing. This season, the NFC East is playing the AFC East,
Yes.
and I mean, the Dolphins could be a Super Bowl team there. The Bills could be a Super Bowl team there. The Jets could be a Super
Jets.
Bowl team there.
Yeah.
And the Patriots, for once, are the
New
worst
England's
team in the
sneaky.
division.
New England
And
will
they're
be a 9 and
sneaky.
8. Yeah.
So I think for every team here, I think that's just a factor record-wise, is that our schedules are much harder. I think we
Yeah.
all played some of the easiest schedules last year.
Yes, no doubt.
So
And some teams with some bad quarterbacks too, which helped everybody in our division.
yeah, yeah. I think the Eagles, for all of their losses on defense, like you were saying, I think safety depth is your biggest question. And if that's your biggest question, I think that's probably one of the least important, especially when you have
I would agree.
strong cornerback and linebacker play, and also one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Linebacker play could be
building,
iffy. We'll see about the linebacker play. Nakobe Dean
that is true.
should hopefully is good. Christian Ellis looks decent. They brought in Zach Cunningham and Miles Jack. We'll see.
The Miles Jack and the Zach Cunningham. I mean, those guys are both high draft picks.
They are.
They've had ups and downs in their careers.
Yes.
But I think also being elevated around a better defense will probably help them.
Younger players too at their position, I think, should also younger to them, and they're still like 26, 27, 28. So hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
I continue, sorry.
No, I just think record wise, I think they're a game worse. I think maybe 13 wins instead of 14.
I might put them right around 13. I think later on we'll go game by game before the season and see how accurate we are.
Sure.
But I think they look like a 13 win team.
Yeah.
And in offense, they look almost exactly the same. I think the biggest question is like Isaac Samulo, and then the age of Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson.
Yeah, they got to hold up, no doubt. Giants.
And then Giants. Okay, Giants. I think we are a much better team than we are last year. Coming into last year, we had Colin Johnson.
Yeah.
As one of our, he was like slated to be one of our best players. He still might get a roster spot this year. He was probably practice squad. You know Colin Johnson?
Well, he was a Texas grad, so you got to go horns down.
Yeah, Colin Johnson. And he, as amazing as he is, tore his Achilles. He's hurt right now.
Yeah.
But our wide receiver depth is deeper than ever. Darius Slayton wasn't even to make the team last year, but that was more so because I think it was just a new regime. They just didn't know what they had in him. I like the way he's playing in preseason. Paris Campbell, if he could stay healthy, this is all health included, is a much better slot than Richie James. Isaiah Hodgins, who had emerged as an amazing player. He had 100 yards against the Vikings last year in the playoffs in our win. I love Isaiah Hodgins. And then Jalen Hyatt just gives us another deep threat ability right there.
Yep.
And then obviously Darren Waller is the best weapon the Giants have had since Odell Beckham.
Right.
So, I mean, that's Saquon's back. I think our offensive line has improved. Like I said, I think Evan Neal last year in preseason looked like garbage, played like garbage. This year he looks average. He doesn't look like a top, pick number 7 or whatever he was. I believe it was 7. But he looks good. He looks like he's going to be
better.
A very confident starter.
Well, yeah. With Thomas, he started off slow too. Like he was unplayable. Yeah. He was unplayable his rookie year, in my opinion, from what I saw out of him. So I think something's good with Neal.
Yeah, I think Neal's growing, and John Michael Smith looks like a top 15 center as a rookie.
Yeah.
Out the gate. As an old center too. I think that our guard depth has grown offensively. So, I mean, I like it. And also the second year with Daniel Jones in the system, like he had Pat Shermer for 1 year. He got fired. He had Joe Judge for a year and a half before he got injured. I mean,
Two
1
bad
year under Brian
coaches.
Dable, he had his best career, so let's see his second year there. Defense, like I said, Julian Love, losing him, that was our only real loss in the offseason on defense. And I really like our depth there. So, harder schedule. 10-7.
10-7. So that's what I'm debating. You were 9-7-1 last year. Does that one tie translate to a win next year, or is it a loss and you're out? Because 9-8 makes a lot of
Because we
sense.
lost John Feliciano, which is the reason why we tied.
Yes.
So
The thing
him
is,
right
too,
there should give us 1/2 win, but it's a harder schedule.
I do think you're better. It is a harder schedule. I don't know what will prevail. And 9-8 would be a worse record than last year at 9-7-1. I'll give you the tie. I say 10-7. I'll give you 10-7.
You honestly
I can see.
believe. So you don't believe last season was a fluke? Because if you believe last season was a fluke, then you should probably put us at like 7 wins.
No, because I think the way you were coached last year with the talent you had, and assuming you get better, I still don't love the Giants roster, but like considering what you did last year, if you can replicate that and do better because you've just better personnel in there, a coach who's in a second year knows a little more too. I think with Dable, um, I'd transfer that tie last year to a win and give you 10 wins. Now, of course, it could also hit the fan and like injuries and stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I think everything here is like health included. Obviously, everybody gets hit by health, but two of our key additions are injury prone. So
it's tough too because the schedule's a lot tougher. So it's like, yeah, the Giants got a lot better and they had a good year relatively last year. They're also going to play tougher opponents. It's tough. I'll give you the 10th one though for right now.
All right, Cowboys. Do you want to start it off with the Cowboys?
Sure. What were they? 12-5. How is that team 12-5 left? I think they're going to be similar to 12-5. I think maybe 11, maybe 11-6.
Well, yeah, because if you're putting the Eagles at what, 13?
I think so. Yeah.
I think that they regress this year. Honestly,
I think they could. I think their it comes down to Dallas's defense again, and last year wasn't anywhere close to good enough. This year, I don't think it's much better. Yeah, I think they lose more games. 11 wins in total, maybe 10. I don't know. I'll go 11. I'll go 11 and 11-6.
11-6.
Yeah. Your thoughts?
I kind of like I that's kind of where I want to go because the Cowboys have such an amazing roster on paper. I think Stephon Gilmore will play similar to his play on the Colts last year. I think he's going to be average. I think Trayvon Diggs is like, an amazing takeaway corner, but I don't know how he plays this year because I feel like he is kind of that. He lets up a lot of.
He gives up a lot. Yeah.
He gives up a lot. He gets those takeaways. I think honestly, losing Zeke Elliott is maybe better for them because they can lean on.
I agree. I agree.
I know that Mike McCarthy said that he wants to be more of a running offense. So I'm curious to see how they play without Kellen Moore this year.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have a completely different offense. So I said I wasn't going to be biased, and I might be biting my tongue, but I think the Cowboys are right on par with the Giants. I think they could be. I think they're 10-7. I think.
Wow.
I mean, one person who I can't believe we haven't mentioned his name in like the biggest. I mean, Micah Parsons. Like Micah Parsons could win Defensive Player of the Year. He might pull a Lawrence Hiller. He might MVP. I mean, I don't know.
He's good. He's a good player.
He's good.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think they got much worse or much better. But like I said, they had 12 wins last year.
Yeah.
I think I put them at 10 this year.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, They were good last year, but getting to 12 wins, it's more than I thought. So Washington, 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Bizarre how they won 8 games. I don't know if you feel the same way, Sean. I think with how it depends. It's tough. Their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games, I think. But if they
Yeah.
are playing, schedule wise, I think they're a 4-win team.
Really?
I think so.
I don't know. It
It
just I
depends on
feel
the
like
quarterback.
I think that if Sam Howell, because I think they're going to give Sam Howell the start. I know that Ron Rivera is like, don't cut out Jacoby Brissett. I think he even said that about their third stringer too. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think Sam Howell gets the start, and if he falls apart, like Jacoby Brissett, I mean, with the Colts that year
Yeah.
when he was with the Colts, and even with the
He can play a
Browns, like
little. Yeah.
I think with their weapons, like I think Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas, and then also their backfield. Brian Robinson was on pace for almost 1,500 yards last year after he got shot in the leg. Like
Hmm.
nobody's. If you're a fantasy player, I shouldn't be saying this because I want to draft him. I've been drafting him super late in all these rounds, but Brian Robinson is going to go off.
Yeah.
And Antonio
Yeah.
Gibson. I
Gibson
mean,
too. Listen,
despite Antonio Gibson might fall, like
there's talent on
I
both
think they're
sides.
it's their O line. I think is their biggest question mark. Their D line is their biggest strength.
But then everything behind their D line is pretty poo.
Yeah, I mean, we were saying earlier, I think they're going to be relying on two rookie corners, which the Giants are too, you know. But I think they're going to be relying on Emmanuel Forbes and Jartavius Martin.
Yeah.
Uh, so you said 4 wins,
Yeah.
no ties this year.
Ugh. It's like roulette where you have to cover your greens with the ties. Uh, no ties, I guess.
No, that would be crazy. It's like imagine they just went on a streak of ties
That would be hilarious.
throughout. Uh, I'm gonna gi- I'm gonna give them 7, just because I
7.
think. And honestly, I want to give them 8 again with no ties, but I'm gonna give them 7 because it's harder. Like it's a
Yeah.
much harder schedule this year,
Yeah.
and also this is essentially Sam Howell's rookie year. Um,
Absolutely.
But they're always one of those teams that just like ends up in the middle of the pack. Like, don't forget they were one game away from making the playoffs last year. That's why we were going to be the NFC Beast. They were one
Right.
win away. They were so close.
That's wild.
Um, but yeah, I just think that defensive front and hopefully Chase Young comes back healthy. Everything said, he's kind of easing into it. I know he's like number one mock trade this offseason. Everybody thinks he's going to get traded.
Yes.
I don't know. We'll see. I think I give them 7 wins, and I don't like I said. I don't think they got worse either. I really don't. Like like in terms of losses
Yeah, I don't think they
in
lost any.
games.
Yeah.
I think the only place where they got worse is maybe the fact that they're going to be relying on rookie cornerbacks. But I think honestly Sam Howell is an upgrade over Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I think probably over Carson. Yeah, over Heineke. I don't know. I think Heineke knew the system pretty well and gave, not great, but it's tough. It's tough to say with that. If he plays well, then sky's the limit for, getting 7, 8 wins. If not, it could be a long year for them. But yeah,
And then hey,
there's a lot of talent on both sides of the ball.
yeah,
We know the story defensively on that line. Wide receivers, I mean, those three in the running game with Brian Robinson, Gibson.
yeah.
It's intriguing. I mean, it's always weird that like they're never better because they probably should be, but uh tough schedule,
I want to
tough division too. They're kind of punished being in the East this year. So
Yeah, that's the thing. I think everything that I've been watching, everybody's penciling in the Commanders, unless they're like, well, they'll split one, but they're saying it more, you know,
yeah,
giving them the benefit of the doubt. So we'll see. Anyways, this is the Beast of the NFC East podcast, first episode. I'm Sean Gnitzcavich. This is Jeremy Goode. What's good, Jeremy Goode?
We have to. What are you saying?
Oh, what's good, Jeremy Goode, so this is the end segment. What's good with Jeremy Goode and what's shit with Sean Gnitz?
There you go. How can you top that?
I don't know. What is good though. This one, maybe you want to do one quick thing for each team, or do you want to just
What's
do
good?
one thing? What's good? One thing for each team.
One thing from each team.
Just it could be a name. It could be
Jalen Hurts for the Eagles.
Yep.
Dallas. CeeDee Lamb. And good punch between Pollard and Lamb, I think. Giants. Micah too. Giants. Second year under the belt. Not yet, but they have their first year under their belt. I think they moved forward after a pretty productive year last year, which is good for them. Washington, they have a clean slate, new owner. Again, talent all around. Maybe they just play with free money this year, see what sticks going forward into next year.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that my last name kind of rhymes with shit because like I'm an optimistic guy. but I'll tell you what's shit in the NFC East. I think that Dak is going to have another underwhelming year.
Yes, I can see that.
I think the turnovers, they already are there in preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're going to continue, and I really hope they continue week 1 against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Eagles, the biggest suspect thing is, I would say probably the running back, just the running back by committee. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I've heard good things about all of them, but at the same time, DeAndre Swift, injury prone, Rashad Penny, injury prone. So the thing is, as shitty as that is, there's also so many running backs just sitting in free agency. Like,
no doubt.
Like, if either of your guys go down before week 1, I have no doubt in my mind you guys are going to sign Leonard Fournette.
Oh, we still have wow. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's something about the feature back. I like I said earlier, the misfit toys kind of thing with the Eagles running game. I think there's something missing. I like a lot. I like all the guys and what they bring. There's something missing though, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I feel like you were able to sign both those guys for cheaper than what I thought they were worth.
Right. Giants are their quarterback for the Giants.
Don't you, dude? Listen, Daniel Jones. I jokingly bought a jersey of Daniel Jones from China, like his rookie year, because I was like, I want to lean into this.
Yes.
But it looked like garbage, and I gave it to my dad, and he loved it. So
there you go.
But I actually want a real one now. I think I do. Behind Sexy Dax, I want Sexy Dax first. But what's shit with the Giants? I think just the question marks in the O-line still.
Okay.
I think that's like the biggest thing, because if our O-line is just average across the board and have all of those weapons stay healthy, I know, big if, knocking on the wood.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, like I said, our offense is a top 10 offense. Okay. I think so. Just Josh Azudu still doesn't look like he has that development. Ben Bredesen is rotating, but they don't like to give him a guaranteed spot. They're rotating in between right and left guard. John Michael Schmitz looks great. He's still a rookie. And Evan Neal's in concussion protocol. Even though he looks better this preseason, he was awful last year. So that's probably the shittiest thing about the Giants.
All right. What about Washington?
Washington? It's hard because, like, I can think of a lot of things, but nothing's, like, outright standing out.
Yeah.
I would say probably the shittiest thing for them is that they're in the NFC East.
Yeah.
And because I think
Placement.
that they could be the best in the NFC South right now.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, and that's
Well,
like
yeah.
no, I mean, I think people are downplaying the Saints and even the Falcons, but I mean, but I think that they have more of a competition there, and I think just having that uncertainty with Sam Howell. Like, listen, I
Yeah.
believe in Daniel Jones now. Daniel Jones, that's one of the reasons why you're still out on him. I saw him last year, and that I saw a totally different quarterback last year that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And there was those fluke plays. I think even if he is the future, and that's the thing, if he isn't that immediate impact player right away, you're gonna have some struggles,
Yeah.
and you're gonna probably doubt if you even want him. You know, it's
Then you start
that's
playing for a quarterback in the draft, maybe. Yeah.
yeah. I think just the uncertainty at quarterbacks. I mean, that's the least fun, and I feel like that's been just a reoccurring theme for Washington. But not having a staple at quarterback, I feel like is just the most miserable thing as a fan base.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, at least we don't have Carson Wentz anymore.
Let me tell you.
So that's good. Anything else, Jeremy?
For now, I don't think so. I
All
think
right,
that's
we're. I finally realized there was a timer, and we're just about 2 hours.
there you go. I
All
would
right.
add too, and just add
Yeah.
before I do think Daniel Jones got a decent amount better last year, no doubt. The only thing,
Yeah.
as someone looking from a different perspective than Giants fans,
Yeah.
I think it took him a while to get to this point, obviously, years wise. Not awful. Some people need
Yeah.
more time like him. I think
Mhm.
that to take that longer to be as good as he is now isn't great. I'd want him to be a little more developed for as long as he's been here.
Yeah.
But he definitely took a step in a better direction, I think, last year. And we'll see if, with more talent, if he can play a lot more down the field and use his arm more to win some games and help his team win through the air. So we'll see. Again, it's he got better. I still think there are a lot of questions with him.
You can just say it, dude. You think he sucks.
I don't think he sucks. I think I will say I think his ability. If he didn't have his ability to move the last 4 years, I think he would be. I think he'd probably be maybe not out of the league because he was a sixth pick overall or whatever. But I think it would be a struggle for him to be relevant as maybe a back.
The thing, I think his biggest weakness that he's shown, especially last year,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it might have been amplified because of him trying to become more conservative and go down on those turnovers.
Yeah.
Is that he was just too cautious with the ball.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't taking those shots. He wasn't taking those deep shots, and that's why we were one of the worst teams in explosive plays last year.
It looks.
We have the playmakers to do it. So this isn't a show. And Jason Garrett too was so conservative with him.
Yeah, I mean statistically it looks good when you're not but it also when your numbers are down turnover wise because you're not throwing the ball, that also translates, I think, in not winning as much because not as many plays downfield, not as many opportunities for a big play for the offense to get going. So catch 22 in a way here and there with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's why we invested the way that we did this offseason. So hopefully, I mean, he's shown he could throw a good deep ball. I mean, he looked good every time he tossed it to Darius Slayton and he caught it.
Accuracy will be big. How often he's able to convert on those on the regular I think will be what is the ultimate judge on him as a player, as a quarterback.
I think the same thing with Sam Howell, though. I mean, I was looking into him more. I don't think he's going to be able to put it together this year, but
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
So his junior year when he was going to be a first round pick, he had that vertical. And De'Ami Brown, who is the fourth receiver on the Commanders right now, was his number one receiver.
Right.
But Eric Bieniemy is also with the Chiefs. He's gone back and forth from that vertical offense to that RPO offense. He said he's leaning towards the RPO offense. in his senior year before he was drafted, I mean, he showed he could move. He had 1 rush for 8 yards in the preseason game. I mean, I don't know. I think if he is going to succeed this year, he's going to kind of have to do what Daniel Jones did. He's going to have that, show his running threat, use his running threat, do those RPOs. And, having Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson, neither of them are like top 10 running backs in the league, but together as a unit to complement each other, I think he's a good running back.
Yeah, and also to be fair to Daniel Jones, I wouldn't even compare Daniel Jones, or I wouldn't compare Sam Howell to Daniel Jones at all at this point. It's just like not compare.
No.
Like Howell has a lot has a lot to go.
I'm just saying in terms like he's able to use his legs.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
Which you wouldn't think based on his body type. But.
No doubt. Looking at both of them, but like I was saying, just with Daniel Jones, his ability to move, since he's gone into the NFL, also when he was at Duke, I think it's helped save his career because otherwise, I don't know what he would have had going on his first few years in the NFL. So he'll have to bounce that, get better with the arm accuracy and downfield stuff. We will see.
All right, one last thing. Jalen Hurts MVP.
He was close last year. It's tough to get it, but I think he'll be in. Yeah, I think he'll be in contention. I think he'll be top 5, top 3 for MVP. Your thoughts?
All right, a humble Eagles fan. I'm not putting money on it. The odds aren't good enough. But I think
they probably aren't.
I think he has a good chance of being the MVP.
It's going to be tough. I've always said it's tough to replicate for him. I think until I see it, if he replicates last year the way, or if he plays like he did last year, you feel a lot better going forward. You start putting him in the Mahomes class where it's like this is a consistent play you'll get. It's going to be hard to play as well as he did last year because he played so well last year. But we'll see. With it, I think talent-wise, he's well protected offensive line. Has a lot of talent around him catching the ball. Different pieces running the ball too that are positive. So, I think he'll be in contention, which is something big to say for him because he came in second last year. It's just so hard to get back unless you're like one of the like Mahomes, Burrows kind of guys who are like pretty fully established at this point. So, he'll be relevant nonetheless.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we wrap up here, Jeremy?
Go Birds.
I see men for the G-men. That's what I wanted to say.
I see men. Oh, this fan base. I love Giants fans.
Hey, just to be fair, I'm the only one who says that. And also, guys, I love the New York Football Giants. I'm going to say I bleed through. I bleed blue.
There you go.
That's what I should have said. But anyways, go Giants, Commanders, Cowboys fans. If you actually watch this, you probably watch this, and I'm glad that you did. And I respect you guys. Those are the games I like to tune into. That's why we have the NFC Beast of the NFC East here. Know your team, know your enemy. And if you are Cowboys or Commanders fans, you can know your enemies very well with us. And also, we'll talk about your teams and you can tell us what we have right and what we have wrong. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sure some Commanders fans are bashing their heads having me try to depict their team in 3 minutes.
Hey, Ricky Stromberg, man, he's gonna be a perennial Pro Bowler.
There you go.
3 years then, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, peace out, Jeremy. I'll catch you later.
Peace. See you, Sean.
All right. NFC Beast.